Hi everyone. In my last video, I started building the AI SDR agent and I explained the phase 1 and the phase 2, where we talked about the phase 1 being the CRM foundation, where we have the custom properties, we have the deal pipeline, we have the tags in the HubSpot, and phase 2 is the agent itself, whereby we send a fake lead from Postman using our simulation method, and then the agent is going to research the company, is going to draft an opener, and then is going to create a contact in HubSpot, basically on its own. So today I'm going to finish building the workflow. I'm going to be showing us the phase 3, which is the scoring and the routing, and then also the phase 4, which is the reliability and cost control. And for a quick reminder, why this really matters. We know agencies has 8 SDR, which they are handling 400 leads a week, and basically their problem is not just the research time, and qualification are inconsistent is part of it, and also all of the SDR judge based on their own, so they judge differently, and half of those leads are going into a wrong pipeline stages. So this is what the phase 3 is going to resolve, where we have a one scoring standard for every lead that comes in, and we have pipeline stages automatically that is being set for those leads. And here is how it works. So I'm going to show us the phase 3 here. After the SDR agent, which is the SDR agent, have researched the company, the lead gets scored from 1 to 100. So basically they get a score from 1 to 100 against the campaign ideal custom profile. Now the model is going to reply in a street JSON and then validate the data to see that it's coming in a JSON format before it reaches the CRM, which is HubSpot. And so we don't want to corrupt the CRM with bad response, so we don't have a bad record in the HubSpot contact data. Now once that is done, we have our scoring routing, which routes in 3 ways. We have 75 and above. Here we have 75 and above. So here is 75 and above when this ICP fit score is 75 and above. This is where the deal is going to be created in the qualified stage. So once the score is 75 and above, we are going to create a deal at the qualified stage. So then we send a Slack message. So we send a Slack message to say, okay, this is a hot lead, and then we create same dates, that is a call task is booked for that particular day. So that is for this first route, which is when the score is greater than 75. Now when the score is greater of, let's say, 40 to 74, we are moving the particular deal to research stage, which is why we have our research stage here. So we move it to the research stage, and also we create a nurture task, which is in 3 days, which that means we create a task that was going to be due in 3 days for this particular score. So now that's for the second score. Now we have the third score, which is below 40. The below 40 is moved to the disqualified stage automatically with the reason written on the contact. So they have the reason of this particular lead being disqualified. So basically no SDR ever spend a minute on any lead already knows that this particular lead has already been disqualified. Now the phase 4. Now the phase 4 here, it talks about, so I'm going to move to the phase 4. So here is our phase 4, where we talk about the reliability and the cost control. So here we want to be able to be tracking if any of our nodes have issues, and also we want to track how our agents execute every lead that comes into the agent. So here is how it works. Now for where it starts is here. We have our deduplication check. So here for every successful run that comes in from the data that we are sending either from Postman or from the CSV file is coming through this Supabase deduplication check. It checks if that same lead already arrived before. So this particular lead can come from the webhook retry or a duplicate in the client's list. So this workflow here, this particular workflow is going to check the duplication if that particular data exists. So once it exists, it's going to, we have our if check statement to check if that exists. So once it exists, we are going to create a table. We are going to write a record into the database agent run table and says what this data is already existing. So we are changing the status to skipped duplicate. So we are skipping duplicate. So here we are able to track that, okay, this particular lead has been researched before and we don't want to do it again. Now we are sending a response back to the webhook with a status of skipped and also duplicate reason, duplicate lead. So here we have the access to not waste our token, because if we put, let's say, a webhook retry or a network issue retry a particular lead more than once, that means our agent is going to run those same lead multiple times, and that is a waste of token, and we don't want to do that. So this particular section here deals with that and is going to ensure that our agent is cost effective and also have a reliability to work on. So that is for that. Then we also have the dead letter in the sense that we have some node, let's say some node here that have issues, maybe through network or HTTP or database, putting a wrong table in a database name. So let's say here now you are supposed to put agent runs table and you put dead letter table. So you have an issue. So we want to be able to keep track of that to see, okay, where is this issue coming from in this particular node? And that is why we have a new workflow which is called the SDR agent dead letter. Here we are using the error trigger. The error trigger will give us the main data that we are going to use, and it's going to give us the data, the details, the information of the issue, why it occurred, the node it occurs on, and we are going to also send a message to the Slack channel for them to be aware of this particular issue that comes in. So here is part of the reliability and cost control of this particular section that I built, and it makes the system more reliable, and it also handles your error, any issues that comes up, so you'll be able to track it and also fix those issues faster. So here is basically the two phase that I built, that I added to this particular workflow, and that is how this system is going to run. So I'm going to execute this workflow now, and then we send in a fake lead, and then we see how it runs. And I'm going to do some testing, maybe run into issue, and then we see how our error trigger is going to work with that aspect. So let's execute our workflow. So instead of executing, I'm going to use the production URL. So I already copied the production URL. So let's go to our production URL. So here is our production URL, and this is our data. So I'm going to send the data, and we will see the execution section, and we see how it's going to run. So once I execute this, so it's already running, and we should see our data. So it's saying what? Here we have skipped duplicate because the data already exists in the database. So if we check, now you can see it says this data already exists in the database, and it doesn't allow it to pass through the agent because we don't want to waste our token. So let me just go to the HubSpot, and then we delete that particular data. So I'm going to come here. Let me see if I have any deal. Okay, let me remove this deal so we don't create that. and then let me go to the contacts. Now, this is when this particular lead exists before. No, so now let's test it when the lead does not exist. Now, we go back and we execute again. Okay, coming. Let's see why it says that, so we know if particular lead has been removed before. Let me refresh. So let's do it again. Let's run it again and see. Okay, I see why. So here we already have this in the database. You're already having this, the duplication. So I'm going to go to our database. I'm going to delete that. So which is inside the agent run. So I'm going to delete that. So we don't have that. I'm going to delete this date letter as well. So here our agent runs. So you can see it also stored the log. So it keep logging the data because we want to be able to keep track of how this particular lead come into existence, so you can have a record and do some transaction with a particular lead. So here is saying that what this particular lead was skipped because it was successful before. That means we already have the lead. So I'm going to delete all. So I'm going to delete all the row. So once I do that, so save. Okay, so it has been deleted. Now let me go to my date letter as well. Let me delete that as well. And then, so here we have a new data. So I'm going to execute this again and we should get our data running. So let's execute this now. So you can see it's still running, which means the data is still being processed, which is the lead. Now let's wait for it to execute, to complete the execution. Now it has completed the execution and we get our response complete and processed. So if we zoom in enough, so you can see we have our normalized lead. It sends it to this. It checks if there is a duplication. If not, then we are getting our campaign. It checks if that campaign exists before. So if it exists, we are searching through the contact. Now the contact does not exist, so which is false. It's going to create a contact and then we set that field to this contact field. Here is our AI research agent, which is going to interact with our 4 sub workflow that we have, which you will see here. You can see each of it executes each of our sub workflow. Each of our sub workflow. So basically, then once it's do the agent research, we have our LLM, which give out the scoring of the ICP fit for this agent. Then we validate the JSON. Inside the JSON, here is the validate. You can see the score is 80. So it's route into the 75 score. So here it's going to create a deal qualified stage. It's going to send it to Slack, and then it's going to create a task due for that same day. Now we merge the results, then we compute the agent run. So we're able to know how many calls the agent run. We're able to know the token used. We're able to know the cost USD and the duration of the agent run. And then we are executing, we are running, we are inserting the data into the agent run. So if we go to our database, you should see like you can see now, this particular agent runs successfully, and we are able to do that, and it responded with a data of complete and status processed. So basically, this is how this workflow works. And if we go to, let's now try to, let's say, break a particular node, and we want to see the effect it sent to the error trigger workflow. So I'm going to come to this table here. I'm going to change this table to, let's say, dead letter. So once I change this table to dead letter, and then we are going to run it again. So I've changed it to dead letter. Let me go and execute this. Okay, that's good. Okay, I did not publish that. Let me publish. So let me publish. So I've published that because I made the changes, so I need to publish it. So once we publish it, I'm going to execute again now. So we should get a failure from that node. So you can see we have a failure in the node. So inside here, we're saying what? Please check your parameter, column dead letter, contact ID does not exist. So we are going to go to our error trigger. So here, the error trigger is going to pick that particular error, and then it's going to send that error to Slack. So once you send the error to Slack, the people working in the company can check the data. So here is when we have our hot lead. So the score, the contact, the why. And if we go to our agent errors, we should be able to see the particular node where we have an issue. So here it's saying what the workflow is: SDR agent, the core pipeline. The failure, where the particular node failure is coming from, is the Supabase deadloop check, the time and the execution ID, and it's telling us the error, which is please check your parameters, column dead letter does not contain contact ID. So basically, this gives us the visibility of the issue we are having, and it also helps us to reduce the cost of running our AI agents, and so we don't misuse the token that we are using. So basically, this is the workflow, and I hope we understood what I've explained. And to connect your error trigger, you can come to this, go to your settings, and then you are able to connect your error trigger workflow. So here I'm able to link my trigger workflow to this main workflow here, so that it can catch any error that occurs in any of the node. So basically, here is the full update system of this core pipeline workflow that I built to help support the SDR in researching 100 leads and reducing them in each week that it is being done. So basically, that is the flow. And if you want to build your AI automation for your business, and you can reach out or send a comment, and also drop a comment on the session if you have any question and you are curious about anything. Thank you very much, and bye.